Apologies about that. The Storm Prediction Center has now hoisted our area into a moderate risk of severe thunderstorms, basically from the eastern hill country all the way through our easternmost communities. So I'm Chicago Windler, and here's what you can expect in terms of our severe weather threat. Let me take you to the weather graphics first. Then we'll talk about what to expect. And I would say be prepared for all modes of severe thunderstorm activity. All right, here's where we stand right now. This is a look at the map, and I've added on the surface plot so that you can see some features. One of them is this big red warm front. Anytime we are on the south side of said warm front, we are in what's called the warm sector. Being in the warm sector is the last possible place you want to be when talking about potential severe storms. Reason being, that is where the moisture, the instability, the juice for storms is highest, right in this zone right here. At the same time, this line we're watching right out west, that is a dry line. That's the dividing line between the really warm, soupy, humid air here and the much drier, less humid air here. Then behind that, we've got a cold front and then another reinforcing cold front. So all of this is to say all of the ingredients are coming into place for what is likely to be a very significant severe weather outbreak, not only for central Texas, but into portions of North Texas as well. So let's show you where radar stands right now. Currently, we do not have any severe thunderstorms in our area. I do have a concern though. Let me show you. What we're watching right now is out in the Western Hill Country. See this stuff on the cloud imagery? Those little things that look like bubbles? That is what we call kind of cumulonimbus convective cloud cover starting to build up. That is what I'm most concerned about, because in those locations you've got a little bit of sunshine, and the more sunshine, the more unstable the air mass is. So we already have the winds that are pulling in out of the south and southeast, and then add to that the sunshine back west as a dry line approaches, and we could see some thunderstorms quickly fire up and then track their way to the east. All right, so let's talk about the different possibilities. Here's our instability tracker. And unfortunately, it is showing the brightest shades. Here's the clock, by the way. The brightest shades, let's wait for it, right about through the afternoon and early evening hours, right over the Austin area is where the instability will be highest. Let's look one more time, 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock. So right between 3 and 5 o'clock through the Austin area is when our instability peaks. And anytime we get into the instability ranges where you're seeing those yellows, those oranges, those reds, that is ample energy to support potential storms firing up. Now, sometimes we talk about how there's a cap or a lid on the atmosphere. In this instance, unfortunately, the cap or the lid is not going to save us. We saw some rain earlier, but as I look outside my window, I've got sunshine filtering in. So that means that that cap is likely to weaken. We're going to warm up all of the ingredients, unfortunately, coming into play for what could be a nasty afternoon and evening. So much so that the Storm Prediction Center has amped up our storm chance. Originally, we were in this level 3 enhanced risk. And then as of noontime, the Storm Prediction Center said, nope, that is not enough. We are going to increase the risk. So now a moderate risk of severe thunderstorms, which is a level 4 out of 5 risk. That includes all of the I-35 corridor points east all the way through Milam County, Lee County, Fayette County, down south toward Caldwell County, Bastrop County. So all of these areas under that moderate risk of severe thunderstorms. I'll tell you what, there are only a handful of days I can even recall us being in a moderate risk. So this is huge in a bad way. What does moderate risk mean? Well, in addition to being a level 4 out of 5 risk, doesn't mean we might see a storm or two. It means widespread severe thunderstorms, not just possible, but likely. They could be long-lived. They could be widespread. They could be intense. Okay, so that brings in the next question. How intense could they be? Well, in a swath from the Austin area, points north and east in that moderate risk, we could see large hail, we could see strong tornadoes in addition to all the other gamut of possible storm threats. If you haven't already done so, I posted some links earlier in some previous posts. Please download our CBS Austin weather app. You know, it's handy. You got your phone, make sure it's charged up, pull your phone up, download that app. It's free. It's on Google Play as well as the App Store. That way you will have a way of getting watches, warnings, advisories. Honestly, you want to have multiple ways. Here's another possibility. I don't know if you can see this very well. Let me put it in front. There you go. Stay informed. This is a poster for Warren Central Texas. They have a great program. If you go to warrencentraltexas.org, you can sign up for free weather alerts, totally free for the CBS Austin area and the Central Texas area. You can get alerts from text messaging, from email, even from phone calls, depending on how you want to do it. I signed up years ago, and I will tell you, it works like a charm. Great secondary way of getting updates. I have multiple weather apps. I have multiple ways of getting warnings. I suggest that you do the same. Also, make sure you know where your safe spot is. The lowest level, interior wall, away from any windows. Make sure that you've got some types of, water or snacks. And if you are in a legitimate tornado warning where we're telling you that there is a significant tornado on the ground heading toward you, you also want to make sure you have a helmet, something to cover your head. You want to make sure you're wearing shoes in case there might be debris that you have to step over. I don't know if you can see him right here, but I got my buddy, one of my two buddies here. Don't forget about your pets too. So make sure that you are taking precautions with your family, with your pets. There are some people who may not be as social media savvy, I should say. They may not realize that the threat has increased. If you know someone who might not be aware, go ahead and give them a buzz, send them a text, let them know and say, hey, this is for real. This is a really legitimate severe weather scenario, just so that they will be aware. Okay, this is not good news. Now we are seeing, as of the midday Monday severe weather update, areas here to the northeast of Austin, including Austin, and again to the northeast of Austin, that are in the high risk of severe thunderstorms, tornadoes, hail, and wind. We do not see this very often, and unfortunately today is likely to be the day. So if there was ever a day where you were going to say, you know what, I've been through however many years of tornado warnings and I've never once been hit by a tornado, I've never once had hail damage, I've never once been hit by strong storms, please let this be the day that you say, but I might be, so I'm going to take precautions just in case. I want you to be safe. That is the most important thing here. Okay, so we zoom in a little bit closer, you can see those potential risks. The areas that you can see that are hatched, that's those little diagonal lines, those hatched areas are where there is the possibility of seeing EF2 tornadoes or greater. Those are the kind that they're not just going to knock down a fence or pull a couple of shingles off a roof. An EF2 or greater can cause significant damage. That is the kind of storm that you don't want to mess with at all. And then unfortunately, that is a possibility. Let's talk hail. We, even in Austin, are under a 45% risk, a 1 in 2 chance basically of seeing hail. And again, we're in the hatched area, 2-inch plus diameter hail possible. Just for your reference, 2 inches is egg sized. To be a severe hailstone, it's the size of a quarter. That's 1 inch in diameter. So we're talking the size of 2 quarters essentially for the hail size that could be experienced with this. And it wouldn't shock me if we see baseball sized hail. This could be another one of those giant hail situations. Now, the wind damage issue is not expected to be as bad for our area, but folks in Milam County, you are in a 45% chance of seeing wind damage as well. Obviously, tornadoes will cause wind damage, but just straight line wind is what I'm specifically talking about. Now, one of the reasons that this has become that much more of an issue, computer models were hinting at this yesterday, that we could see dew points that would be absolutely off the charts for this time of year. We have dew points in the mid to upper 60s in Austin, 70-degree dew point down in the valley in Brownsville. That is in this muggy to miserable. And not only is it air you can wear, it's air that is fuel for storms. So unfortunately, we are dealing with that potential. All right, and then let's talk about the flood risk. The good part of this, it's actually Tuesday's risk. Let me go ahead and forward beyond this. I did a brand new look at today's risk. The good news about this, although unfortunately, as much as we need the rain because of the drought conditions, we're probably going to see these storms move through pretty quickly. So there may be some isolated local spots that see over an inch or 2 inches of rain, but the vast majority will probably not see enough to cause flooding. However, there is a significant flooding risk off toward the north and east of the Austin area. Okay, let's go hour by hour. And actually, before we do that, I want to go ahead, I'm going to go back to the dew points map, and I want to actually pop up current radar just to give you kind of the lay of the land with what we're looking at currently. So let me pull up the current radar view. And this will just be radar on its own. We've also got lightning on here, and you can see there are some storms with lightning off to our north and west, but currently right through the CBS Austin area. Yes, there are some spots that are dealing with some showers and maybe some embedded heavier downpours. Right now, the heaviest appear to be through Milam County and Lee County, but so far we're not dealing with anything significant. What I'm anticipating is that we will start to see storms that fire up somewhere out in this range and then push off toward the east. All right, so now let's get back to the computer model to give you an idea of the timing of this. So we're going to start at 2 o'clock. If you're watching right now, it is 12:55. And by 2 o'clock, we may start to see the very first storms firing, perhaps out in Mason County. This is one high resolution computer models. They're not all in exact agreement, but I just want to give you an idea of where things may be heading. And then as we work our time through 3 o'clock, some of those initial storms that form out in Milam County may make it out into parts of Burnett and Williamson County. Maybe a few more storms might make it out toward Milam and perhaps Lee counties. At the same time, so far, these storms, though they might be isolated hail producers, these are not the ones that I'm most concerned about. This is just kind of getting things going. Note also, if we break out into sunshine and temperatures in the 80s, that is obviously not good news. Okay, so then we're going to advance through time again and look toward about 4:30 in the afternoon. Timing has been a little bit, massaged this way or that way. As of last night, it looked like the storms that you're looking at on this particular high-res computer model showing up along Highway 281 from Llano and Burnett County down to Blanco County. Earlier, those were showing up about an hour earlier, around 3:30. So I would say be prepared as early as 3 p.m., that it might be a bit later. And all of a sudden, here we go. We're not talking about a rogue storm here or there. Instead, look at this. We've got embedded supercell thunderstorms, and there could be multiple ones. Anytime you see those fuchsia purplish colors even on a radar projection, not necessarily actual radar, that is an indication of very powerful storms. And the setup that we have in place is there's going to be that dry line, the dry line that I mentioned to you, and I'll draw kind of roughly where it would be. Right through here would be the dry line. To the east of the dry line, you've got all the warm, humid air. To the west of the dry line, you've got more of a westerly component to the wind, and it's along this boundary where we would see the storms basically turn very explosive, and there is the potential that we would see them rotate. So rotating storms, potentially with large hail, I do expect we will be dealing with warnings as we head through the evening hours. So late afternoon in the hill country into the evening hours everywhere else. Let's advance through time now. And again, this is a computer model. It's not gospel, so it's not going to be exactly spot on, but this gives you an idea. Okay, here we are at 5:30 in the afternoon. Look at these. Not only are we talking fuchsias, now we have some embedded whites in the cores of some of those nasty supercell thunderstorms. This is a situation where we could have the large hail, the very gusty winds, the possible tornado threat, because any of these storms could develop rotation as they head farther toward the east. So please keep in mind that potential will be there through the evening rush, which is the worst possible time. I'm hopeful that the kids get out of school in time. I did see, at least it looks like Lake Travis ISD is doing an early release. I don't know if other schools are doing so, but I think that especially areas to our west, that is absolutely a good call. Meanwhile, here's a look at 6 p.m. As you can see, still nasty storms possible right through areas from Gerald to Georgetown to Round Rock, in through North Austin and Central Austin, also into Lockhart and Luling and Bastrop and Rosanke. And all of this activity still ongoing by about 6 p.m. Advance through time. Here we are at 7 p.m. By 7 o'clock, the worst of the storms have cleared the hill country, and you may be able to see this computer model showing that shift where now we're back in the hill country. We're in that drier, less humid air behind the dry line. So it is no longer expected to be bad in the hill country by 7 p.m. You should be pretty much in the clear. It is still likely to be an issue for areas to our east. So from, say, Granger and near Taylor and Bartlett, off toward the north into Milam County, for areas of eastern Bastrop County like Smithville and Page, and on toward Giddings and Lexington and Lincoln and Dimebox, you may still be, and as well Fayette County. Then as we work our way toward 8:30, 9 o'clock, we may actually see the worst of it beyond us. A cold front still has to come through, so there's a very small chance we might see some additional storms develop along the cold front. That's a little iffy. Some computer models bring a little bit more rain with the cold front itself into our easternmost communities. This latest high-res computer model is not. It's keeping us just cloudy, and it's not redeveloping any showers. So by tomorrow morning, everything's done. We're in the clear. It's cooler, it's drier, it's less humid. So basically that's where we stand, is watching for that potential. Okay, now let's talk about how much rain we could see. And again, it's going to be some areas picking up 2 or 3 inches of rain and other areas saying, I got nothing. So as an example, this particular high-res computer model is giving nothing to some areas out in the hill country. On the other hand, is giving copious amounts to other areas in Wilco. Is it going to be exactly played out just like that? Probably not, but this gives you an idea at the very least of how things might work. Okay, let me go ahead and zoom in, and I'm going to go ahead and query the potential high-end rainfall totals if they should set up. And this might be between, say, Georgetown and up toward Gerald. And I know anytime we're talking about tornado threat and I say the words Gerald, half of Williamson County has a double take, because we all remember what happened back in 1997. So this is indicating a swath of 1 inch to, I believe, probably even 2-inch totals. That doesn't seem like it's necessarily matching up too well with the chart up here. But we will absolutely have to be watching for some locations that may see locally heavy rainfall. Here's a look at 2 other computer models, just to give you an idea that not everyone is exactly aligned, but the whole idea is that the heavier rain will be east and the lighter rain will be farther toward the west. So the areas that need it the most in the hill country are going to see the least rain. Worth noting, there's actually a red flag warning for those of you in Mason County points north and west, which are not expected to see much rain, which are expected to see more sunshine, more warmth, and unfortunately with the wind, the high fire danger. So many pieces to put together. Okay, let's take a look at a different computer model. This one is not nearly as intense or bad. I went through really quickly. Let's back it up and we'll go through a little bit more slowly. Let's take a look. This is 4 o'clock. Zoom in a little bit. Here's 6:30. And zoom in a little bit more. Here's 8:30. A far different picture than what we saw on the previous computer model. In this instance, the conditions on this particular computer model appear more favorable for worse storms to our north from Waco to Dallas and to our east Bragg College Station out toward Highway 45 as opposed to in the Austin area. I don't know if I necessarily agree with this. I think the other computer model may be much more in tune. And then, as you can see, let me back it up, it does blossom storms later on. This is midnight. And here we go toward 4 a.m. So it does show nasty storms kind of marching in a line out toward Houston by pre-dawn tomorrow. And it lingers a little bit more rain for our area into the pre-dawn hours as well. So there are possibilities of different things playing out. But in general, I would say be prepared for the worst end of the equation. And then once everything blows through, we're dry for the rest of Tuesday. Incidentally enough, it could be almost cold by the time we reach early on Wednesday. Okay, so that's your forecast update. I know some of you have questions. Unfortunately, I need to tape a couple things here at home and then head into work because I want to make sure that I'm there before any of the nasty storms hit. So at the very least, make sure you take all those precautions, be ready with your safe place, and at the very minimum, just download a radar app if you don't mind. Download a radar app. I just don't want anyone to be uninformed if there happens to be a tornado warning issued. I want to make sure you get that alert. That is it for now. As always, you can check our website, cbsaustin.com, for updates anytime. Let me see if I can plot that up here. I usually have it easy to find, and oh, there we go. cbsaustin.com/weather is your resource where you can get updates anytime. Also, please download that CBS Austin weather app if you don't mind, and we'll keep you updated every step of the way. I'll probably do an additional Facebook Live or 2 or 3 or 4, depending on how things play out. I know there's a lot of concern. Many of you are probably kind of storm anxious, and I totally get that. I always say, don't be scared, be prepared. The more power that you have, the more prepared you are, the better off you will be. Hey, speaking of power, there could be some power outages as well. I did want to mention, let me pop up the power outage map. There actually have been a few power outages related to pole fires from the light precipitation that we have seen. And so you can see as I click on the power outage map for Texas, there actually are some outages, about 24,000 outages across the state. I've seen multiple from Bluebonnet Electric. Right now, it looks like there are only 14 customers out from Bluebonnet, but there have been a number of outages courtesy of pole fires today, just because of that moisture getting onto the little conductors and that kind of thing. But within our area, it looks like there are pretty minimal power outages right now, but that's another thing to keep in mind. If you do have to travel, that's another thing I would recommend that you please make sure that you have a way to keep up to date. Even if it's National Weather Service radar, you can look at it, just any way that you have to stay informed and get all the information. So this is National Weather Service radar. Here is a look at the Storm Prediction Center, showing, of course, Central Texas highlighted. And so far, so good with the flood threat. But should things escalate, atxfloods.com is your best resource for finding out areas that may be closed due to high water. So all kinds of great resources. We will keep you up to date. Please be safe, take care, and I will talk to you soon. Once I'm at work, I'm fully expecting there will probably be a watch issued. It will probably be a tornado watch. And as soon as that's issued, it will automatically push out to all of my social media channels. If you're not already following me on Twitter, all of the warnings will push out there. I'll try and retweet as many updates as well as I can. And also on Facebook, I'll try and go live as much as I can. Those of you on YouTube, I will try to also stream there. All right.